And in this video, I'll talk more about monopolization. When people talk about free markets, they think that free markets are tied to things like equal participation in society, dividing up power, less power concentrated in just a few people. But that's actually the reverse is true because studies have been done and writings have been made, for instance, during the period of colonization. Some industries were growing because new land was being found. And while the industry was growing, like there were different people who were able to participate in the growth of the industry. But as soon as it hits a saturation point where there's only so much land you can colonize, at that point the industry started to sort of like the only way to grow was to take somebody else down. And that's what happens pretty much in every industry when scarcity sets in. It was actually Vladimir Lenin's writing, Imperialism, the Highest Phase of Capitalism, that that detailed that example of the colonization and how once they ran out of new land, the scarcity hit in. But that's why you always end up with a small number of people having a lot of power, because unless the market is continually expanding, the only way you could grow and get bigger is to take someone else down, and eventually a small number of people dominate, which is actually opposed to the equal participation. So the free markets, actually privatize the sort of behavior that the Constitution tried to prevent. Like the Constitution tries to give us free speech and all these rights, but then some corporate tyrant can, could tell you how to act and can on your own time. It would be understandable if it was just on their time, but on your own time, they could fire you for your political views. And they've actually gained influence over the government. And it's because of this monopolization that, people kind of toe the line, because if you lose your job, it's not like you could just start another Walmart or start another Amazon or start another Google or start another Microsoft. So that's really what has happened. It's that, and people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson could not have foreseen this. So I don't think you could say that they would be supportive of the way that America is today. I would say that if the founding fathers were here right now, they probably would be quite opposed to what America has become, and probably would not be these flag-waving patriotards. Like the sort of people who supported the Bush administration are huge patriotards. Not that I support the other politicians, but Bush was the worst. And basically, the founding fathers today would probably oppose this sort of corporate imperialism just as much as they opposed the imperialism of the British. But it all comes down to this monopolization, which comes down to scarcity, which comes down to the only way you really can grow once you hit scarcity is to take somebody else down. So that's my opinion on why free markets don't lead to freedom, and in fact enable a privatized totalitarianism that most Americans, especially the Republican view, but even Democrats don't really stand for the working class either. It goes right over their head. They just don't have the ability to see outside the blinders.